I'm Abby, head chef with My Diabetic Solution. Now many people ask, what can we eat for breakfast? Store-bought sausages are loaded with preservatives, salts, and they're really high in fat. Well, today I want to show you an alternative that's healthy. It's made with our lean turkey, and our base for our foundation is fresh herbs. So what I have sage, thyme, and rosemary. Now all three of these herbs you can grow in your garden. They are super hardy. They will winter over beautifully. And you can just run out and pick those fresh herbs every time you want to add a really nice foundation of flavor to your food. So here I have about 10 sage leaves. You can just be approximate with this. I would say roughly 1 to 2 tablespoons. So I've stacked these leaves up, and then I'm just going to run my knife through them. Just kind of a small dice, chopping those up. We don't want to bite and have a big piece of sage stuck in our teeth, so that's why we kind of want to dice them up. Next we have our thyme. I love thyme. Thyme's actually my favorite herb to use. So I've picked the thyme already, and then I've piled them up here, and I'm just going to, again, quickly run my knife through the thyme. It's not too abrasive of an herb, so just a quick run of the knife should do it. Okay, next we have rosemary. Now, rosemary I'm not going to use as much because rosemary is a really powerful herb. So just a nice sprig. Here's a little tip. Hold it on one end and then go against the grain of which it's growing, and just like that they've all come off. So again, not a ton of rosemary. You can keep it to a half of a tablespoon if you'd like, or whatever your preference is. If you truly enjoy, say, an all rosemary breakfast sausage, then by all means, change it up of your flavors. Okay, so I've got all my herbs chopped up here. Next, I have my ground lean turkey, and I'm gonna add all of my herbs. Just dump them right in. Okay. Next is about a half of a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and instead of just dumping this right on top, I kind of want to give it a little bit of sprinkle, so we're kind of already distributing that cinnamon, because we want to have cinnamon in every bite, and this really adds a nice warm flavor to it. Next, I have about half a teaspoon of ground garlic or garlic powder. You can also use fresh if you would like. And then I've got my fresh ground black pepper. So we need to mix this all up. Now, the best tool in the entire kitchen are our fingers. So I'm going to dig right in, mix this all up. Now, I don't want to over mix my meat, but just enough to really incorporate all of those fresh herbs and our ginger and our garlic powder. So again, every bite we're getting a little bit of a taste of all of those ingredients. All right, so now we're gonna make our patties. We don't need to make these huge because it's for breakfast. So I'm just gonna take a small handful, and the key to this is I wanna have them pretty thin and even. I won't want to have a really thick clump of it on one side or the next, because I want to have even cooking. So I'm just going to, again, flatten this out all the way to the edges so the thickness is the same in the middle as it is on the very, very edge. This also is going to help keep that moisture going all the way through that sausage patty so the edges don't dry out. So I'm just going to continue to make all of my patties like this, and I'm transferring them over to a plastic cutting board because it's raw meat. I don't want a porous surface like my wooden cutting board, so that's why I've got my my plastic one there. All right, so I'm just going to keep working these, my little patties, these cute little guys. I like to also double this, that way you're doing all your chopping just one go around. and then after you cook them up, you can freeze them. Today I just used one package, which is the equivalent to about 1 pound of meat. But you can certainly double this or even triple it if you want to have just a nice handful to feed the whole family, or if you know you've got a brunch coming up, you're feeding your friends, or maybe your grandkids are coming over for the weekend. Have these already made up and ready to go. You know, you can also put these in little meatloaf pans or in little cupcake pans and bake them off that way. That's also a great way to eat them, kind of change it up a bit, make little meatloaf style. Add different herbs and spices to it. Okay, I've got my skillet here. I've got this on about a medium heat. I've already added my tablespoon of coconut oil, so it's just getting nice and warm. I'm gonna give it a few little turns. So we're coating that pan. There we are. And now we are going to put the sausages in. So you hear that nice sizzle. That's what we want to hear. That means that our pan is nice and hot. And that's when we're going to get that really beautiful browning effect, which is what we want to see and smell and hear and taste on our food. We love that. Now, I don't want to overcrowd my pan. So as you can see, I'm just kind of making sure we're getting, you know, it's got room here. There we go. Okay, now I'm just going to let these sit and do its thing and get a really nice brown crust on it. Try to avoid flipping these too early. You don't want to flip it back and forth, but really just wait for it and trust that they're not going to burn immediately and get that little bit of a crust on it that we all love to taste. Okay, we've been cooking these for about roughly 3 to 4 minutes. And if you can see it all here, the browning is starting to come up about halfway to our sausage patties, and that's when I know that it's time to flip. Also, if you just slightly check, it's getting that nice browning on it, so that's when I know it's time to flip these guys. So we're just going to flop these all over and then let it do its thing onto the other side for a few more minutes. So these have been cooking on the flip side for about roughly 2 minutes or so, and if I just give a little bit of a feel, it's not super squishy, meaning it's not going to be really raw, and there's a slight firmness and texture, so that's when I know that it's ready to pull off. Also, we want to look for, if you want to use a meat thermometer, an internal temperature of about 165, and that's when you know that you can pull it off. There we are. And I'm just going to take these all off onto my plate, and now we've got these really gorgeous, beautiful breakfast patties using our fresh herbs and a little bit of a cinnamon, a great alternative to those store-boughts. So a quick tip to get all of this brown bits off of our pan is I always like to have just a cup of water ready for me, because as these cook and sit, it's harder and harder to clean. But if you just take your water, pour it in, I would say just about, a quarter of an inch to cover the whole pan. Then all of that hot water is going to deglaze that pan. And all of these bits, if you see with my spatula, they're just coming right off. And that means no scrubbing. So feel free to use this every time that you've cooked something. Perhaps maybe your eggs got all stuck to the bottom. Just pour in that water and let that hot water do all the work for you. And look at that. Now it's all up and so easy to clean. Just finished up cooking our breakfast sausages, and out of the pan I took them and placed them onto a paper towel just to let them drain a little bit of that oil. And here we have just these gorgeous, easy breakfast sausages for you to prepare at home. I want to encourage you to double or triple this recipe. After you've cooked them up, pop them into the freezer, then you can transfer them into the refrigerator, and then they're just ready for you to go throughout the week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next time.